Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 2022's YDA Week Interviews. Today we'll be speaking to Corner Shop writer and director Sara Dunlop to ask her 6 things about herself. Sara has worked on a slew of amazing campaigns for brands including Apple, AT&T, Facebook, Cadbury's, McDonald's and many more. She has also directed short films including 2016's DREAMLANDS, which was selected as the only UK short in competition at the 2016 Cannes Film Festival, as well as being Brooklyn Film Festival's Best Narrative Short. Over the next 15 minutes, Sara discusses the feature films that gripped her when she was younger, how she used her job in a video store as an early film school, the inspiring influence of Jonathan Glazer and Ring and Ledwidge, and why surrounding yourself with good people is always good advice. Sara Dunlop, thanks so much for joining us on the YDA interviews. It's really nice to talk to you.
Nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you too, Danny.
Good. And so the first question of the 6 that we've got here to find out a bit more about you and your background and your inspirations is, what's the film that inspired you to want to be a director?
You know, with these question things, I just kind of do the kind of what pops into your head first. And it came out as, you know, because actually I was about 13 when I wanted to be a director, so it's probably something much more cheesy, but the 2 films that popped into my head that I absolutely love and inspired me, I can't do one as well. I can never do one of anything.
That's fine. You can have more than one.
Yeah. So Paris, Texas. I absolutely love Wim Wenders, the mood and the atmosphere of that film, the cinematography, and just the strangeness of it. I just love that. And a film called Coming Home. That made a big impact on me, a Hal Ashby film. I think I was really, really young. I watched it late at night on TV. I was obsessed with the soundtrack. And it's such a beautiful performance from Jane Fonda, who's one of my favourite actresses. And it also, I was thinking about why I liked it actually, and whether this was part of the reason. One of the things that's influenced me in my work is this mix of the director actually it's shot in a kind of a paraplegic hospital for Vietnam vets. And what they did is they used some of the real people from the time, the actual vets, in the scenes, but then they kind of mixed in the actors into the process. So I felt like this mix of kind of like cinematic and the real was something, from the very beginning I think I've been interested in.
Oh really? So how old were you roughly when you would have seen them? And did you know when you saw those films that this is what you wanted to do? Like, directing was something. Did you know even what a director was and that job was available?
I did, and I knew quite young, and I didn't know whether I could do it, but I knew what a director did. And as I got a bit, around kind of 13, 14, I started to think, well, I might not be able to do it, but surely that is the best job if you can do it.
Yeah, right.
Because then you get to do everything. So I had that concept. It was quite naively. I also thought that it gave you a window into worlds. Like, I just could never decide what I wanted to do. I was kind of like, got bored easily. So films for me were like, I could be an archaeologist one minute, I could be a doctor, then I could be a lawyer. I didn't have to choose because these films would be a window into those worlds. And even though that was naive, I think that is kind of true. Like, going on to my next project, I'm like already thinking about the world that I'm going to be in.
Yeah.
And every job I do, you are thrown into a new world. So that's what I love about it.
Were you quite a film buff as you were growing up then? Were films the things that sort of you always sort of deferred to and looked for and kind of found out?
Yeah, I mean, I like the minute I could get a job in a video shop, I did.
Oh really? Okay.
yeah. And then I went on and worked in cinema. I was like, because it was before, TV was so limited, and there was late night films that I'd sneak down and watch. But I mean, the video shop. I started working there when I was 15. I wasn't supposed to actually. I wasn't supposed to give out 18 films, but and you were allowed to take out 5 films at once home with you. I mean, it was like a kid in a candy shop, basically. Plus, I was really popular with all my friends.
Yeah. Was that a Blockbuster or a local store?
It was before even Blockbuster. It was called. Right. It was called. Oh my God, what was it called? And then it was called Showtime. But before that, it was called something My Video or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So like a film school almost.
Yeah, well, it is, isn't it? Because it's just watching films as part of the education, I think.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so moving on to question 2, what's the commercial that you most admire?
Again, it's like I've probably got 10 or around 10 commercials that I
Sure.
talk about. But this time, for some reason, I haven't mentioned this one for a long time. It's Guinness Swimmer.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And it popped into my head because, like, I always think that commercials are hard to remember sometimes. So the ones that you just remember like that, they've got
yeah,
to be good because, so I Googled it, looked it up, and I watched it. I was like, yeah, I'm right. This is really good. It hasn't dated at all. That I'm super impressed with.
yeah.
The storytelling in it is brilliant. The craft in it is brilliant. The casting, everything. Yeah. So
And
really
so
good.
again, so when you saw that, did you again? So you kind of at that point wanted? Were you so 2001? Were you already directing at that point? Yeah, I'm assuming.
2001, I was just I was just
Okay,
about starting to, I think. Yeah, just getting into it.
right. And commercials was what you were getting into.
Yeah, I
So
was
that
doing
was
music videos and then
okay.
commercials. Yeah, I got into commercials quite quickly. I
Yeah.
mean, I didn't get into this level for
No,
a very, very, very long time. But yeah, I was
but it
making.
showed you what could be done and what could be achieved as in a kind of 60-second TV spot.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
craft of I mean, because I'd been interested in films, and I think that's probably for a lot of young people, you're not waking up when you're 13 and saying, I want to make commercials necessarily, but you're really interested in films, maybe music videos. But yeah, the switch for me was how do you do that in the short time length? And
Yeah.
then studying the craft of that, studying how that works, how many shots, like timing the shots. These are the things I started to do. How to tell stories in interesting ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And had you taken notice of commercials before you kind of got into the world of directing? Like, were commercials things on your radio, or was it always kind of films, particularly, or music videos?
Just films, really.
Really,
I
right?
was just, yeah, the music videos was more like I had some friends in bands and started to kind of think that could be I could never just go to make a film. So I was thinking, like I need something, small that I can do and cut my teeth on. So music videos, yeah, commercials, no, not until I kind of almost fell into it a little bit.
Right.
And then just started to kind of get the bug of it. And the bug of it was kind of like that there were people out there like Jonathan Glazer doing this great work. How could I get to, how could I get to the point where people were
Yeah,
sending me scripts that I could do great work with,
yeah, yeah,
looking for opportunities, really.
yeah.
Most of those opportunities back then, I think anything that I had an opportunity of was basically done for free.
Right, right.
It was definitely not, no one was giving me Guinness out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah. And
Yeah.
so, going slightly off piste with the 6 questions that we've got on the thing. So, what is there a music video or some music videos that you saw when you were a bit younger and thought that's the sort of stuff that I want to do and I want to make music videos as well?
And I think it was just because my era, I think I was younger than Jonathan Glazer. I think just Jonathan Glazer was a massive influence,
Really,
and there was
right.
another guy, I'm just trying to remember his name now, who did a Radiohead video where everyone lay down.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember his name, but I know
Yeah,
Just is the name of the video, isn't it? I
yes,
can't remember
yes,
his name, but
just
yeah,
Radiohead. But he was making some fantastic
yeah,
videos.
yeah.
Jamie Thraves.
Yes. Okay. Well done. We got there. We got there. Yeah, that is a fantastic. It's one of my
Yeah,
favourites as well.
I really,
It's a
really
great
like
video.
that. Yeah. He's telling stories in music videos. I think that's what I've always been interested in, telling stories,
Yeah.
no matter what the length is.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Okay, so I mean, the person that you most admire in the industry is, or the person that you've most looked up to over the course of your career, is the next question. I mean, obviously you've mentioned Jonathan Glazer. I don't know if he's the answer or if there's someone else that you want to
No,
discuss or
someone else
mention.
I really want to talk about, which is Ringan Ledwidge,
Uh-huh.
who who sadly passed recently, but he
Yeah.
was a massive. I've known him since I was kind of a kid, in my early 20s, and we both wanted to make stuff. But we, at the beginning we weren't getting any work. We used to go to cinema in the afternoons because
Right.
we had nothing to do. And then he stopped going to cinema in the afternoons because he just his career started doing
Right.
really well. But he was a big influence on me, a big influence in, especially when I went to work for his company, in that he was always about, well, he was just his middle name is good work, like
Yeah. Yeah.
he cared about doing good work and he cared about doing it in a good way. So, he had an incredible like generosity of spirit. He always had time for people.
Yeah.
He listened. you know, although he was quite, you know, particular about, you know, his craft, he wasn't a kind of a closed person, so it's my way or the highway. He was very magnanimous and interested in, you know, and also, you know, working with the best crews. And his work, again, like for me, if you look at kind of, you know, his kind of, you know, his, you know, top 10 commercials, I don't think they date. I think they kind of really will stand the test of time. They're pieces of work you'll remember just off the top of your head. You know, I think he was, you know, he's a
Yeah,
legend,
he was
really.
genius. Yeah, I mean, is there a piece? I would put you on the spot slightly. Is there one of his commercials that particularly stands out for you that you sort of you love?
I think, I think actually there's so many, but I think Link's Undressed, I
Mine
thought,
too.
you know, yeah, I
That's
just
brilliant.
thought it's just, you know, that innocence of that falling in love, but yet with a concept, simple, but yet so elegant, no second wasted, you know, a beautiful track. You
Yeah,
know, you could pretty much say it's like, you know, it's 100%, you know, I was looking for that. How do you look at every shot that you've done in a commercial? Because you can, because there's only a certain amount of shots. You can't do that in a film, but in a commercial, you can really analyze it to the you know, to the frames.
yeah,
And is every frame perfect? And for me, you know, in that commercial, every frame is, yeah.
yeah. It's absolutely brilliant. I love that.
Yeah,
I mean, like you say,
yeah,
he's done so many, but that one particularly stands out. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, moving on. So, what's the piece of work that's posed the biggest challenge for you over the course of your career
I mean, again,
so
like,
far,
you
at
know,
least?
it's just a production designer said to me recently about a job that came out, and I said, and he told me something that happened on set, and I said, oh, I can't remember that, and he said, I think you've got selective memory loss, because he thinks, you know, because he was saying, like, you know, we go through this kind of like this kind of giving birth to a project, and it's never like with my projects, and it's never completely straightforward. There's always, like, you know, things to figure out, and I
Yeah,
think that's the thing. It's like, you know, every project. So when you say, you know, the biggest challenge, I mean, I'm sure there's like, I could kind of give anecdotes about projects and things, but in the end, I think I'm looking for the challenge when I choose the script.
mm.
You know, I'm looking for, like, what's the challenge. If I feel like I've done something before, or I kind of know what the outcome will be, and I know, yeah, then I tend to not want to do it,
Yeah,
because I want there to be an element of, like, of kind of, oh, you know, how is this going to work out? I know how I want it to be, but I've not done anything like this before. So there's some kind of mystery to the project, something interesting,
yeah.
and something challenging. Yeah,
So you
yeah.
essentially embrace that challenge. So you know you feel like that. You know, if you don't have a challenge, do you not sort of feel like you're learning as much? Like, do you still feel like every project teaches you something about whatever some process or some approach to filmmaking, and that's where the challenge sort of becomes much more productive?
This is exactly it. You never learn. Well, I don't feel like I'm ever going to have learned everything. So every
Yeah,
job. So there, you mean, like, actually the biggest challenge was the last job. Or was it the job before I did was more like a little film for a brand, and but it starred 3 children. They've never delivered. It's all dialogue piece. They've never delivered dialogue before. You have the challenges of their hours and multiple locations. You know, you have the challenges of the 3 of them kind of staying bonded and getting on, and then they fall out, and they're
yeah,
like little kids, and then you have to kind of, you know, it's, you know, you're dealing with human beings on any level. You know, the people you put in front of the camera, not that the people that you put behind the camera aren't important, but the people you put in front of the camera are really, really important. And every time their personalities are different. So every time as a director, you're dealing with a different feeling of how how are you going to give the people in front a good experience, but also how you're going to get a good,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
get a good performance.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, and then so moving on, what's the project that you're most proud of?
Yeah, different projects for different reasons.
Yeah,
You know, the first, I mean, I always say, but just because I quite like the kind of thought behind it in my career, and that my short film that I did in 2016, Dreamlands, just because I kind of eventually got off my arse and did a short film after a very long hiatus from doing one. And I'm proud of the fact that you have nothing to hide behind there. You know, you write a script, and then you go and make it. You know, and you persuade a bunch of people to do it for virtually for free, and you see how it comes out. That's a really interesting kind of, you know, process in itself. If we talk about kind of commercials, you know, like one sticks in my mind as being, and it, you know, it wasn't particularly hard, but it was really, really interesting for Bernardo's. Just because I do like the idea of like making short films that can kind of influence the world in a kind of positive way. And I even did one for a big pharma, you know, a big drug company in America, like last year, before I felt very nervous about doing something for a drug company and what they were trying to say and whether their motives were good. And in the end, I think they were. And I think what we tried to say in this project for a company called Lily was about questioning healthcare in America and what that means and who it should be for. And I don't think they kind of tried to attach themselves too much to a we are the savior, which is what I was kind of like, you know, kind of saying, you know, or nervous about, you know. So I feel good about how that came out actually. And the experience it was for everyone involved in it as well, because that's the other thing. I'm proud of everyone walking away from a project not only with a good result, and I think Ringham would have said the same, but also a good feeling for everyone who was involved, anyone that was, you know, anyone that had never done it before, never acted before, the agency, clients, everyone.
Yeah. So almost like the finished piece of work itself is obviously part of the pride where that comes from, but it's not just about the finished piece of work, it's about the process of getting to it and the teamwork and the ethics behind it, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. The process of getting the process right and doing it in the right way, because you know, in the end, we're all doing stuff, making stuff, wanting to be proud of stuff we've made, but also it's where our life goes. Our life goes in making these things, so you might as well enjoy it, and have a good time at the same time. You know?
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so the last of the 6 core questions that we've got here is what's the one piece of filmmaking advice that you would pass on to someone coming up through the ranks?
I do feel like filmmaking is a collaborative process, and you can't do it on your own. So you know, as much as you know, directors have it in them to kind of want to, you know, and I definitely am in this category of wanting to micromanage every, you know, and control every element of it. If you surround yourself, someone said, surround yourself with the best people, you know, who are as dedicated and as passionate as you are, and inspire them, because they almost, in their department, they'll know more than you, and they'll get into the detail. They can get into the detail more than you. You're the overview, and the better those people are, the better the end result will be. So collaboration and building a team of people around you that will help you kind of, you know, create something, create your vision, really.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, Sara Dunlop, thank you so much. That was absolutely interesting and insightful, and thank you for sharing your opinions and insights with us. And take care and have a great rest of the day.
Cheers, Danny. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.